The Pittsburgh Penguins have won 4 straight games. Yes, I did not really expect to be saying that, but they play the New York Rangers, who are in desperate need of a good run themselves. We'll discuss that game and a few more here on Puck Time Friday, here December 6th. Looking forward to breaking down all kinds of games, props, 6 and 60. Carm will take a look at games on Saturday. I'll have some props for you guys as well. Coming off a big night, I want to thank all of you guys for joining me with my 5% play. We are now 9-2, last 11 with the 5% NHL big bets. Had the over in the Jackets and Oilers game. Needed just 2 periods to cash that play. But Carm, we always know how big and busy those Saturday slates are in the NHL. But the Fridays, they kind of just go under the radar here. It's a good day to make some money, man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man, and congratulations on that 5% winner. I said to you earlier, you can confirm it. I text Andrew and I said, let this game be like 3-3 at the end of the first period, because I also had the over in that one, and I just wanted to go to sleep at that point. But a 3-0 night for me and a 5% winner for you, so I'm pretty happy about the way NHL went. And one of those 3 plays, I did give it on the show as the show best bet. I gave you guys one of the client plays on Ottawa in regulation, Andrew, and that one was heading to the L column before a goal with like 41 seconds left. Sometimes they work against you, and sometimes they work for you. I'm glad that that one worked for me. But yeah, we're going to cover Washington and Toronto tonight. Pittsburgh, the New York Rangers. You're going to do a prop segment. We're going to finish it off with the last game of the night, Dallas and Vegas. And the 6 and 60, and then hopefully a couple bets that will get us there. 6 and 60, 5 and 1, 4 and 2, and 5 and 1 the last 3 Saturdays after a rough couple weeks to start the season. So hopefully we can get you guys some more winners on the show, Andrew. But let's kick it off, man. Scotiabank Center tonight. Toronto Maple Leafs minus 145. Washington Capitals plus 125. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be Stolarz and Lindgren. This is the first of back-to-back for both teams. Toronto will be in Pittsburgh. Washington will be in Montreal to face your beloved Canadiens. Andrew, before I give a play on this one, tell me how you're going to play this one.
Carm, when I look at this game, I just can't look at any Leaf games anymore without betting unders. And I can't believe we're here. Mark down the day, December 6th, 2024. I'm jumping on board for unders in Maple Leaf games, and hopefully I haven't missed the boat. Hopefully the boat hasn't sailed away on me. And of course, they'll start getting some overs now. But this team, 60% on season with their unders. There's even been talks of, hey, maybe they're going to have so much value, they should trade one of their goaltenders at the trade deadline because they have so many great guys up there or down there in the AHL. This Leafs team continues to play low-scoring defensive hockey, whether it's the superstars or it is a depth player. They get 3 or 4 goals, Carm, and they sit on it. I mean, we always talk about the fact that, you know, when you have an over, it takes 2 to tango. And one thing that you mentioned to me a lot over the years we've talked about together is the dreaded 4-1. You know, that 4-1 can bug you because like, one team is already out of the game and one team has a couple goal lead. They're satisfied. They sit on it, which is why I've kind of moved to more of a team totals player these days as far as my full game totals are concerned. Get rid of it. But when I look at this spot here for the Washington Capitals, I get it. They're excited about Ovechkin. He's getting healthy again. This team has had a great season. But even some of their games lately, they've really been relying on Logan Thompson and some of their goaltending. And it will come back to bite them. Don't get me wrong. But I think some of their guys have slowed down production-wise. And, you know, some spots had 5.5 here. Some spots still have 6. But I think a Friday night showdown again, the Leafs are seeing what's working for them, Carm. I'm going to go with the under, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. I know for a fact there's more scoring ability on this Capitals team than the Nashville Predators had, or at least how the Nashville Predators are playing right now. But what we saw when the Leafs played Nashville, what we saw when the Leafs played the Blackhawks, It didn't matter who they were playing, a good team or a bad team. They scored a few goals, they protect the lead, and they sit on it. And I'm taking the under 6 Capitals and Maple Leafs tonight here, Carm. No play for me on the side, but thinking this one could be a defensive battle. What do you think?
Andrew, as far as goalies go, never be. I think if you have two solid goalies, you should never be trading them away unless you get an offer for a position that is going to help you a lot. And I don't think Toronto's in that boat right now. I think they need to keep both these guys healthy. It's a long season, and having a 1-in-1A type of goalie situation is obviously big because you're going to need these guys throughout the season. So one guy does not play 60 games and get worn out and come playoff time completely shits the bed, for lack of a better word. The first thing I'd looked at, because if I can find numbers, kind of like the Carolina Colorado game where you can find value in both teams with winning percentages on some of these first period numbers, take advantage of it and play it. And my first thought was, if you look at the first period totals for Washington, 9-1 to the over on the road for Washington, but the Leafs are the complete opposite, 4-11 to the over in the first period. Leafs are playing much better defensively. We always equate the Toronto Maple Leafs with allowing some goals, but scoring goals because that's what they've done in years past. But Craig Berube is trying to instill a new system, a new culture in Toronto where it's defense first, and then you let your core guys get the goals that win you those 3-1 games, 3-2 games. But I did find one that actually does work, Andrew, and it's the Leafs went into Washington and beat the Capitals, scored a couple goals late in that game, forced overtime and win that game. It's a game in which Washington lost more than Toronto won. 6-1-4 for Washington on the money line on the road this season. 6 wins, 1 loss, 4 pushes after 20 minutes. Toronto, and that's plus 52.61 ROI on your money if you're flat betting the Capitals. They're plus 115 in the first period tonight. The Leafs at home, 6-3, but because they're always favored, that is a negative 12.89 ROI on your money. So this is where I'm landing here. I'm landing on Washington to exact a measure of revenge. They lose a game to last time out where they only scored 1 goal against San Jose. I'm taking the plus 115 here with Washington in the opening 20 minutes and seeing if they can get back in the win column. What happens after that won't really matter to me. I'm playing the first period and first period only, Andrew. What do you think?
Those first period plays, I like it because, right now it's hard to beat the Maple Leafs in 60 minutes. It's hard to beat them in a full game, but some teams have had success getting out in front, getting on this team early, and they are going to be motivated here, Carm. So it's a good point by you. I do like that price. I love the plus price here, as we call it, and I always shout out at Bet with Mikey on X. He calls it Freaky Friday, Carm. It's always a weird day here in Friday. In the NHL, there's always weird stuff going on. So usually the dogs are barking. Usually we see some lower scoring games when you expect higher scoring and vice versa. So got to be aware of all kinds of weird stuff here on a Friday, and we'll see what goes on. Very rare that it happens this way, but like I said, and you talked about it earlier, was, Thursday, the Montreal Canadiens got to play the Nashville Predators second half of a back-to-back after playing the Leafs. And of course, tonight, the Washington Capitals playing the Leafs, and then tomorrow, Montreal getting them. So it's interesting to see how these teams play because, it kind of reminds me of when Ralph Michaels on WagerTalk today was presenting a chart talking about teams before a bye week instead of after, how they play with a bye week. Well, this is kind of, Carm, the example of how a team plays front end of a back-to-back. We always talk about how teams play second half of a back-to-back. I very rarely hear people listing out reasons and statistics and recent trends of how a team has played on a front end of a back-to-back. But when your team knows a back-to-back is coming, that first game is so important because obviously you're going to be tired for the second game. So you got to make sure that you gave a really good effort on that first game. So maybe you'd be curious to see if Ralph could give us some numbers on that, because we often talk about the back-to-back numbers, but how about the first half of the back-to-back?
No, and I don't think they're, even when I look at the NHL.com and, some of the advanced stats that you can find, like the next gen stats, I don't see it there on the front half of the back to back. Maybe I'm completely missing it. I seem to focus on the second half of back to back, the third game in 4 nights, 4 and 6 nights. I think that it's something that's worked for me over the past few years, and something that I'm going to continue to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. But you mentioned the 4-1 scoreline. And the reason, guys, if when you have the over, we talk about the 4-1 scoreline being a bad one, is that most coaches in the NHL in that third period, down 4-1, do not pull their goalies. Unless your name is John Cooper. And a perfect example of that is the Leafs 5-3 victory recently in Tampa Bay. Cooper, with his team down, pulled 3 goals in that game, pulled his goalie with 6 minutes left in the game, just under 6 minutes left in the game. Jake Gunsel scores a goal. Then they get a power play goal, and then the Leafs get an empty net goal. If you had the under in that game, under 6.5, that one hurt. If you had the over, it obviously helped, the 5-3 final score line. But those are the ones. And that's why I mentioned some of these books will take down the totals in live in-game wagering with about a couple of minutes left. Usually it's 3 minutes is the cutoff for that, because they'll pull their goals with about 2.5 minutes left if they're down 2 or even down a goal. But there are some books that will keep them up just a little higher. Bet 365 keeps them up a little longer. But specifically with Tampa Bay games, if they are down at least a couple goals, you want to hit the live game overs, because John Cooper is going to pull that goalie, and you could get a couple goals. Not only the one you need, you might get a couple goals. So it's always a good thing to keep an eye on the coaches and their pull rates as far as when they're pulling goalies. Andrew, you mentioned Freaky Friday. I think that applies to this game. Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Rangers, minus 190 on the Rangers, who have lost 5 of 6 games. Their only win over the Montreal Canadiens. Pittsburgh, plus 160. All of a sudden, Pittsburgh is scoring goals. They found some scoring, and it's 4 wins in a row. They probably didn't deserve to win that last game against the Florida Panthers, but they did score 5 goals on 16 shots. Andrew, I'm going a little Freaky Friday on this one, because I am taking the dog. I am taking Pittsburgh in this one, plus 155. But I'm going to back it with a little bit of statistical numbers. During these past 6 games where the Rangers are struggling right now, and whether it's Jonathan Quick in net, whether it's Igor Shesterkin in goal, the XG numbers in all situations in the 6 games, the Rangers are minus 9.45 in XG. What that means is in 6 games, they've allowed 27.98 expected goals, while only manufacturing 18.53. That is a miserable number for a team like the New York Rangers. They just aren't playing well right now. And I have mentioned a couple times already, it's got to get worse before it gets better. That's worse. Those are some bad numbers for the New York Rangers. It wouldn't surprise me if the Pittsburgh Penguins go in there and steal a victory tonight at plus 155. The Montreal Canadiens could have done it, and we'd be looking at a 6-game losing streak. Laviolette, the noose around his neck might be getting a little tight. Andrew, what do you think?
Don't get me started on that game on last Saturday, Carm, because if it wasn't for 3 power play goals, they wouldn't have won that game. And like you said, I mean, look, Laviolette, his time is coming, but I'm not sure if you saw earlier this morning, there were a few tweets put out about some insiders. They aren't letting Jacob Trouba on the ice today for morning skate. He will not even take practice or take the morning skate. There's a chance that he might be traded before this game even starts, Carm. So that's kind of breaking news. Jacob Trouba, captain of the New York Rangers. And listen to this, guys. This is even crazier, is that if he decides to not waive his no trade clause, they might toss this guy on waivers. You know, they might toss this guy out there and try and say, you know what? We're good with you. We're going to take the cap space and move on. Is that any way to treat your captain? This isn't just any player. This is the captain of your team. And that's how they're treating him right now. And I get it. He's in the last part of his contract. And I get it. He has not been living up to his $8 million he makes. But Carm, that is unbelievable for them to treat him the way that he's being treated at this point. We have a team that's won 4 straight games going up against the team that's 1-6 in their last 7 games. And the team that's 1-6 their last 7 games, they're minus 185 tonight. The team that's won 4 straight games is plus 150, 155. You can get 160 at some books. If you're a recency person, you should be all over the Penguins tonight. If you're looking at large scale, this Rangers team, it's a pretty good spot. You know, team total over 3.5. But the thing is, I don't like the price on anything here for this team. First period puck line, full game puck line, money line, regulation. Nothing sticks out for me in this particular matchup. So, Carm, I like what you're saying here about this Rangers team. This is one of those games for me where I kind of want to get out of there in the first period. So I'm going to split my bet, and I'm going to go first period money line plus 130 and a half bet on the first period plus a half goal at plus one or minus 155. I think that if the New York Rangers give us a good effort in this one, some people might think it could be early on. I think it might need a full 60. I think Pittsburgh comes out firing. They've been playing some good hockey lately. And don't look now, but this Eastern Conference is very, very competitive. There's a handful of teams at the top, right? We got the Panthers, you got the Maple Leafs, you got the Carolina Hurricanes, some of these teams. But other than that, the wild card teams, look, Carm, as a Montreal Canadiens fan, I'm ecstatic. They've played 2 more games than a lot of teams right now. You know how they're 6 points out of a wild card spot. 6 points. They're 6 points behind the New York Rangers. And at this point, this is an absolute disaster. So I'll throw it back to you with this. When you hear news like that, does that shock a team and motivate them? Or does that just cause a distraction with the whole Jacob Trouba stuff? Because in this instance, I think it's a complete and utter distraction for this New York Rangers team. Sitting out your captain just seems a little bit different to me than anything I've ever heard before.
Yeah, it definitely does, Andrew. I just want to make a quick announcement. Our regular desktop feed doesn't seem to be up and running. The shorts feed is working. I've dropped a link in there. So if you're in the desktop one, just making your way over to the shorts feed. I apologize for that. Andrew, we'll do a quick recap at the end of the 3 games that we chose and and what our plays were in it. So if you guys have switched over to the new link, we will do a recap of the 3 games and who we have in those ones. But yeah, Andrew, it's it's as far as there's something wrong with this team. They just aren't playing the way they should be playing. And I mentioned looking at sort of the analytic numbers in the last 6 games, and they're just not good for this team. There are numerous games in which the XG allowed is in the 4 to 5 range. That's unacceptable for a New York Rangers team that we know has always been goaltending and defense first, and after that, you rely on the top guys like Panarin and Zibanejad and Kreider, as you mentioned, these guys to get the scoring for them. It's just not happening. Something's going to happen with this team. They need a spark. I just don't want to be the guy who tries to bet on when that spark is going to come. I would rather take the plus 155 tonight with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and if the New York Rangers win, so be it. But I'd rather be on plus money than laying $1.90 with a team that I have no idea whether they can win a game at the moment or not. And you mentioned the game against Montreal and the 3 power play goals as well too. All right, Andrew, while I collect my thoughts here, fresh off your 5% win, give us some prop bet winners.
All right, Carm, this is a good one here. We're going to start things off. Just have 2 player props for today. We got 2 shots on goal props. And I've got one that has a lot of trends to back it and one that's a little bit pricey, but we can try and find some ways to still make money out of it. Before I get to those props, though, guys, the best deal available at WagerTalk.com right now, I encourage you guys to join me. $199 for the rest of December. 9-2 run with my 5% NHL plays. The 4% plays are going extremely well. I have a 5% play in the NFL on Sunday. I haven't had a 5% NFL play in weeks. I've been incredibly low volume with the NFL. Some weeks I haven't even had picks. But this week I really do like this as a total play. I'm on an 8-1 totals run in the NFL. But guys, forget about buying those individual plays. Use this deal to save yourself big time. $199 for the remainder of December. It's our holiday special. WT.buzz/AM. Join me for all my plays. I got action today in the NHL. I got action tomorrow, NHL, UFC, and on Sunday, we're going to make some money in the NFL. All right, Carm, here's a guy I really like for today, and it's Nico Hischier from the New Jersey Devils. Look, Seattle, second half of a back-to-back for them. And good win for them yesterday. Hats off. They beat the New York Islanders, but the Islanders, hey, they haven't been playing that good anyway. But I love looking at these road and home splits. And Nico Hischier has not only been shooting the puck a ton, he's been shooting the puck a ton at home, as he's gone over 2.5 goals in 4 of his last 5 home games, 7 of his last 10 overall at home. He has gone over 2.5 shots on goal. I think it's a big matchups thing. This team is really deep at the forward position. They've got all kinds of great goal scorers. So when you get the last change and you're able to be out there at home, I think it's really, really helpful for him to be able to get his shots off and create some opportunities. So the best part is I got -114 on this price. So I really, really do like that. The next one, this one is a little bit pricier here, Carmen. The best price I saw was -165. And I know I'm laying some chalk here. This is Will Cooley from the New York Rangers to go over not 2.5, but 1.5 shots on goal. And again, it's a hefty price here, guys, but he has hit this in 6 of his last 7 home games. He has hit this in 4 of his last 5 games overall. And the depth players for the New York Rangers are the players that are going to get this team out of the funk. It isn't going to be Kreider. It's not going to be Zibanejad. It's going to be the guys down the lineup a little bit. And Will Cooley has been responsible for stepping up in the lineup a lot more, given more opportunities, given more ice time. And if you guys don't like that -165 price, well, there's another guy involved in the game today, Evgeny Malkin. You can take him to go over 1.5 shots on goal, and you'll get this close to even money or plus money. Or you can just take it, hey, take this number and play a little bit smaller than you usually would have because it's a little bit chalky. But I love these 1.5s, and hopefully Will Cooley does a good job for us tonight. But Nico Hischier from the Devils and Will Cooley from the New York Rangers. Carmen, it's going to be a real good game tonight between the Rangers and the Penguins. But I feel like it could also be a good prop game between these two teams. So hopefully we have success, and hopefully I don't get any hate comments about giving out a -165 here on the show. Back to you, Carm. 2 plays for me and one a little bit chalky. So hopefully that one hits for me.
The good old hate comments. I had one yesterday in the after the video was posted because um, some guy says I say too many times. And someone defended me, and I really appreciate it. So yes, it goes back to I'm going to make it quick because it's really unimportant to in the grand scheme of things. But back in 2016, right when I was starting at WagerTalk, I've almost been here like 9 years now. I suffered a TBI, traumatic brain injury, had to do 6 to 8 months of neuro rehab and speech therapy. So if I say a few times, it's just my brain collecting its thoughts before the next words come out of my mouth. And you don't want to know what the next words coming out of my mouth are Mr. Nobody, the guy who wanted to chew me out in for saying and too many times. But whatever, Andrew, doesn't bother me. So let's get to this next game. Vegas, Dallas, Andrew. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? Uh, Dallas Stars -120, Vegas, even money at home, Andrew. The total is 6 with Vig on the over 25 in this one. And I'm going to mention something that I mentioned yesterday because someone in the chat asked me about the St. Louis game and taking the under in the St. Louis game. And I said a couple of the sharp books have taken some action on the over in that game. And that game did end up going over a little bit similar today in this one in the morning with some action coming in on the over at those books in this one. So I'm not taking the under in this one. I would look to the over, but I'm going to look at the first period over because I want to be asleep for and awake for the Premier League games in the morning. So I'm going with the first period over 1.5 -130. When you look at the totals, Vegas Golden Knights, 13 games at home. They've gone over the total in the first period in 10 of them, 10-3. 7-6 for the Dallas Stars on the road. Dallas Stars played a phenomenal game in LA against the Kings and just couldn't get that goal to tie that game up. Had they tied that game up, they would have gone on to win that game. The Kings just shut it down in the third period. I think the Stars are going to bounce back, but I think we're going to see goals. And I prefer to take the goals in this one, Andrew. So I'm going to go over first period 1.5 -130. What are your thoughts on this one?
Carm, the other day on the show, I said that it seems like the Vegas Golden Knights just pick their spots when to show up in certain games. You know, you can take a look at their schedule and you can look at that loss they had last Saturday against Utah. It almost was predictable. You know, a good win the night before on Friday, and then on Saturday, an absolute flat spot. And I'm not saying a flat spot at home is going to be against the Dallas Stars, who are actually a good team. But I think this is a mixture of a good bet on spot for the Dallas Stars and a bad spot for the Vegas Golden Knights. Look, Vegas cruised to victory 4-1 over the Anaheim Ducks. They have a big 1-0 victory over the Edmonton Oilers. And when I say big, I mean because it was against a great opponent. And so pretty much besides that loss against Utah, this team has looked phenomenal lately. They have looked fantastic. But Dallas, off that loss against Los Angeles, and I was happy because I had LA in that game, but Dallas up 2-0. End up losing that game 3-2. They will not be happy. They'll be heavily motivated. This game will mean something to them. They will be up for this game. And I like the price that we saw on this one. Look at the overnight number. Dallas gets some love. In the morning, wake up today. They get a little bit more love here. I think this is a really good spot here for Dallas. I think we see a little bit of a flat spot for the Vegas Golden Knights. So not only you take the first period over, Carm, I got to hope it's going to be 2-0, man, because I'm on the first period money line for the show here for the Dallas Stars. So I guess you and I both are trying to get out of this game as early as we can because I think Dallas is going to get the job done in this game, but I also think they're going to come out really, really fast to start the game. And, you know, Carm, something I really like about having a read on a certain team, like if you can bet against the team one day and then bet on them the next day and be successful, it's always a good feeling. And that's how it goes for me. I'm betting against Dallas when they played LA, and then now here I am betting on them against the Vegas Golden Knights. Back-to-back games for them against tough opponents within the division. This one will be really important to them. So I'll take them in the first period to get off to a really, really good start. But Carm, we got a busy slate tomorrow on Saturday in the NHL. Looking forward to some of these games out west, especially. But of course, some good games in the East and always some early start games on Saturday. Last week, man, it was a good 6-60 for you. The people love it, so give the people what they want. What do you have for us for this weekend?
Three straight good 6-60 segments. Let's see if we can make it 4 in a row. And with that said, our fearless producer and diehard Eagles fan, Dan Alexander, I know he's got that clock ready. Dan, if the Eagles and the Bills make it to the Super Bowl, I will sit next to you. We'll both go topless with like the logos on our chests and and enjoy the game together. Dan's like, I'm not sitting next to some fat Carmine with a Bills logo on his chest. But with that said, oh God, one of us would kill the other. That remains to be seen who would win that one. With that said, Dan, start the clock. All right. San Jose, Florida. Sharks came crashing down to earth, losing 8-1 in the first half of the Florida double. Same thing's going to happen here. Maybe not 8-1, but Florida puck line in this one. Colorado and Detroit. Wings issues continued the other night. Colorado off a loss in Carolina. Give me Colorado money line in this one. Nashville and Ottawa. Ottawa money line. This four-game homestand for Ottawa. They kicked it off with a win yesterday. I think they get another one here against Nashville, who've only won 2 on the road. Toronto and Pittsburgh over 6.5. Both teams on the second of a back-to-back. And 4 straight overs for the Pens if they found their scoring over 6.5. Minnesota, LA Kings. Give me the Kings. Minnesota on the second of a back-to-back. We're probably going to see Marc-Andre Fleury in goal. And a tidy 4-game win streak for the Kings. And finally, Washington and Montreal over 6. Yes, I'm taking an over in a Montreal game, but don't look now. They won 2 in a row, but the Caps are 6-1-1 to the over their last 8 games on the road. That is your 6-60. Clock.
Bang!
I
With a
beat
bunch of
the
time to
clock.
spare. Wow.
You
A
know what
bunch of
would have
time
made
to
that
spare.
6-60 great? Is right at the end, if Dan goes, you're muted. You're muted.
You're just
I
done. You
had
didn't even
to
get any of
start
it off.
it. And I had to start it all over again. So, with that said, I like to sort of recap a couple things. So, yeah, San Jose came crashing to earth. Florida's playing extremely well right now. I like the puck line in that one. We're gonna have to pay some vig on that one, probably in the -120 range. Detroit, Ville Husso played extremely well, Andrew, in Ottawa. So it wasn't goaltending. It's the fact that Detroit's just not scoring goals. And we know Colorado can. Nashville and Ottawa, it's tough to take a team like Nashville when they're 2-12 on the road this season. And the Sens are 3-1-1 their last 5. And this is a favorable 4-game home schedule that they kicked off yesterday with a win. Toronto and Pittsburgh, it's always the second of back-to-backs, and we'll see what happens here. But the Pens are scoring some goals. And Minnesota and the Kings are playing some really good defense. And it's supposed to be Gustafsson in goal tonight for Minnesota, which means that it would be Marc-Andre Fleury in goal. And he's not Swiss cheese, but he's not their number one goalie. And of course, Washington, after that 2-1 game, this is a team that's still scoring at 4 goals or more a game. This Washington team, I love watching them play because they just continue to attack. They never give up. They score goals. So we'll see if that continues on Saturday night against your beloved free space on the bingo card, Montreal Canadiens.
Hey,
Sorry,
not
I had to throw that
anymore.
one in.
Not anymore. Patrick Laine is back. 2 goals, 2 games. I don't know. But, one thing I
2
have,
goals,
I
2
wanted to
games.
say, remember last week, Carm, when you said, depending on what happens Friday night in the Vegas game is how you're going to bet the Saturday game. Like if Vegas won Friday, they could lose Saturday against Utah. I kind of had that feeling with the Maple Leafs. Something just kind of tells me, like, depending on what tonight's game goes like, they're going to be motivated or unmotivated for tomorrow. And don't get me wrong, they're a great team. Saturday night, it's hard not to be motivated in Toronto. But if they have a flat effort, even if they just play like mediocre, and even if they get a win tonight, but it's like not a good one, they're going to be fired up for tomorrow. But I think that if they blow out Washington, like if they, let's say somehow they beat Washington 4-1 tonight, I think they could get caught being complacent, and Pittsburgh could put on a show tomorrow. So the way I handicap tomorrow's Pittsburgh-Toronto game is very telling based on how Toronto plays tonight, because they can be a little bit up and down with their mindsets on second half of back-to-back, although it's really improved this season so far. All right, let's get to best bets, Carm. I'll start things off. First and foremost, I guess I have 4% best bet up at WagerTalk in the NHL. So looking forward to that. Just one play it's looking like for me today in the NHL. If I add anything else, it'll be small. But best bet, and yesterday coming off that big 5% NHL winner. But like as I keep on saying, guys, the best special for you to get right now is that $199 holiday special we have at WagerTalk. A lot of you guys joined me on $5 Customer Appreciation Day for my NFL 5%. People are still joining me. You guys joined me yesterday with my 5% NHL play. $199 will get you every single play I release in December. Get that. The sooner the better. Sooner you buy it, the better you're going to have as far as savings are concerned. My best bet for the show is going to be the first period over in the Seattle Kraken game today. New Jersey and Seattle. Second half of a back-to-back for Seattle. We got hefty favorites here for New Jersey. Notorious fast starters. This Devils team gets out to big first periods. They're good first period over team. And Seattle got to have some confidence right now after scoring 5 goals last night. Although it was against kind of a weaker team, Seattle needed that, and some of their star players are finally starting to play better. So we've been jumping all over these first period plays a lot this season. And I feel like this is a really good number here at -120. These days, you're getting -130, 40, or even higher with these first period plays, guys. -120. Kraken, Devils, first period, up and over 1.5 goals. Let's get some goals to start this game off. Let's have ourselves a winning night in the NHL. The best bets have gone really well across the board. Myself, Carmine, and the guests all week here on PuckTime. Let's close things out with a bang. And guys, comment below to let us know your best bet for today. We're always curious what you guys think about these slates, especially here on a Friday, Carm. You never know what's going to happen on Friday in the NHL. What do you think, Carm? What's your best bet for the show today?
Yeah, that deal is a great one, Andrew. The finish strong deal, which is $199, get every single play from your favorite capper across all sports for $199. It's regularly $299 for myself. Obviously, NHL, college football, where I'm top 4 or top 5 at WagerTalk amongst all cappers in college football. NFL, a 5% play loaded for this weekend, and soccer. It's been a great run since November 1st across all sports, but especially soccer as well too. And I'll have Premier League cards up. Andrew, for my free play, I'm going to go to the Vancouver game. Obviously, Columbus is on the second of a back-to-back. I don't want to sound like a broken record with the second of a back-to-back in 3 and 4 nights, but it applies here to Columbus. They didn't look good last night against the Edmonton Oilers, and you have Vancouver, who are 4-1-1. Their last 6 games, they're starting to play extremely well. And this is a team that last season was one of the best teams in the West at home. This year, second from the bottom in the West at home. But the December schedule for Vancouver is a very favorable one with a lot of home games that they should win. And should win is what they should do tonight. Now, I'm not taking the full game line on this one. I'm taking the regulation line. So Vancouver to win in 60 minutes is -145, and that's where I'm landing with this play here. Vancouver -145 in regulation to get the win done. Guys, if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. Join the ever-growing community here at WagerTalk. Ton of shows, actionable info, ton of free play videos. You can get notifications of those by hitting that little bell, the notification button, and drop a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what your best bet is for tonight. For myself, Andrew McInnes, and Dan Alexander, this is Puck Time. We will see you again on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, guys.